Chapter 9, Encouraging William and the Field Manual. You may now realise why I was therefore greatly encouraged that William had realised those many errors in doctrine and practice among professing Christians, and that William had seen the need to address the many errors being taught and received by Christians. It would seem William witnessed similar things that I had done, and for that reason I wrote to encourage William to write a field manual sharing the problems and the identified needs and the things to teach new converts. This reminder and request to write the field manual may be viewed in our YouTube video, William Pollock Field Manual. The Field Manual. It was due to the good reports sent to me in England over the coming years by William, and being informed of the number of outreach churches being established in the northern Philippines, I was greatly encouraged and was moved to republish and make available Dr. John Gill's body of doctrinal and practical divinity, which, alongside Louis Berkhof's systematic theology, they might be fully equipped to promote and further the gospel of Christ, and I sent a 5-volume set to them in January 2001. And since William had established first-hand in Baguio Christ-centered church and several Christ-centered churches in the various parts of the Philippines, it seemed reasonable for William to set in order a reliable account of the steps he took to commence the work that had been established, starting from his first leaving the prison in 2002 to the present time. He had already mentioned the need to correctly present monergistic theology, that is, the Reformed view of salvation, which is expressed in both Louis Berkhof's work and Dr. John Gill's body of doctrinal and practical divinity, and I felt that an historic account of how he, upon his release from prison, was able to gain access to the prisons in Baguio City and Benguet provincial jails, how he was able to speak to the inmates and teach them the gospel, and how he realized some inmates were ready to receive the gospel and be baptized, and how did he continue the work in teaching the various truths of the Christian religion to the prison inmates. And then, how did he commence the formation of Baguio Christ-centered Church? I was greatly encouraged by William's testimony that he sent to me in his book, Called from Darkness into His Marvellous Light, which I feel should be included as an appendix to this manual. In so doing, let him relate any errors that he encountered and corrected in order to ensure the hearers were not infected by the false teachings related to gospel truth such as Arminianism and the function of men and women in the church and false prophets, or the rolling and falling on the floor and other religious strange expressions. And also the method taken to ensure the singing of hymns, psalms and spiritual songs was established in such a way that the song content was free from doctrinal errors. The purpose of this manual being to assist further ministers who, upon release from prison or being sent by the church, might have some guide and help from someone who had gone before them. God willing, the manual will be forthcoming. Recommendation and support. In May 2022, and on my return to the UK, and due to our experience in mission work, William wrote a letter of support and testimony to the Association of Grace Baptist Churches in England, outlining our work in support of my application to recover the Beaton Chapel Trust deed. Here is the very encouraging letter of support from Bishop William Ola Pollock. Here is the letter read. It's 31 William Letter of Support.
From Reverend William Ola Pollock, Christ-Centered Church Baguio, 314 Magsaysay Avenue, Baguio City, Philippines. Telephone +63 928 706 3387. William Pollock Sr. Copy 2, David Clark, nbpttc@yahoo. Co. 12th of May, 2022. 2. The Association of Grace Baptist Churches Limited, Southeast. Subject, contacting you. Dear Sir or Madam, I am Reverend William Ola Pollock Sr., the Bishop of Christ-Centered Churches, Philippines. Indeed, it's my pleasure to write to you on behalf of Mr. David Clark. My testimony of conversion, and call to preach the gospel of Christ, is told in my booklet, called From Darkness into His Marvelous Light. Well, I first met David Clark, in October 2001, who came on a Christian mission to the Philippines to preach the gospel inside the new Bilibid prison, maximum compound. David was the director of a mission called Trojan Horse International. On August 19, 2002, upon my release from prison, I was commissioned and sent by the director of the Trojan Horse mission to preach the gospel to my own people in the city of Baguio and Benguet provincial jails. I have worked in this capacity, as a sent minister, preaching and teaching the gospel, not only to my own family in my own city but also in other jails and places throughout the Philippines. In October 2002, I invited Mr. Clark to visit the work in Baguio City. We went to the Baguio City jail, where he preached and eventually baptized 22 inmates who had believed the gospel. We also visited the provincial jail, in January 2003, where he preached and baptized 8 souls who also had turned from crime to Christ. Since then, I have continually worked, and by God's providence founded several Christ-centered churches throughout the Philippines, appointing pastors, over which I am an overseer, bishop. I also confirm their doctrinal foundation that are as those set out in the Byerton Strict and Particular Baptist Church, 1831, of which Mr. David Clark is the sole remaining member and a sent minister. I founded first the Baguio Christ-Centered Church, in 2003, which was registered with the Security Exchange Commission in the Philippines, and our articles of religion reflect those of the Byerton Strict and Particular Baptists, which are based upon the First London Baptist Confession. I also confirm that David attended the 20th anniversary of Christ-Centered Churches, in April 2022, and partook in the proceedings. In addition to this gospel ministry, I am the founding director and chairman of the Prisoners for Christ Association, in 2013, which is an association of ex-convicts that meet annually to celebrate and share the work of God entrusted upon us. Last April 19, 2021, we had our 10th assembly and I invited David Clark to be our guest speaker at the same time to visit the Christ-Centered Churches. I also confirm that Mr. Clark has worked from England in his capacity and has extended his support to the ministry. He also has republished a range of theological books, dedicated to our work here in the Philippines, and are useful for those students enrolled in our Theological Institute. They are all monergistic, such as Dr. John Gill's Body of Doctrinal and Practical Divinity, and Louis Berkhof's Systematic Theology, along with other related theological books. I hope this letter of confirmation will serve the purpose for which it is intended, and am prepared to visit the UK to confirm if this would help to testify personally to the work. Yours in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. William O. Pollock Sr.